you've got to do this. We'll be the cheerleader. We'll tell you how to do it. Okay? And I got a call from her son about 3 weeks ago, and he said, my mother has died. I said, I'm sorry to hear that. He's like, but I want to know, where are we at? How do I get these assets? And I said, what did she ever do with that $100,000 of stocks? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, is it in your name? Is it in her name or in the name of the trust? He said, they're in her name. They're right here. I have them right here. And I said, well, what did I tell him? You're going to probate. You're going to probate. So we're going to send an asset title review to say, hey, wake up. Here are the assets that we think are in your trust. Is that true? Did you buy or sell anything else? If so, did you do the funding correctly? Let us verify. We verify by stamping it approved or not approved so that they know. If it's not approved, of course, we tell them to go back and how to change that. Quarterly lectures. These are examples of the types of educational series that have to be going on. This is just too complex to try to get in an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. So what we do is we bring people in back to this hotel or another one to do issues like settling a trust, long-term health care insurance, Social Security, identity theft. Now let me tell you about, has anybody here suffered from identity theft? Okay, I had over $65,000 taken from my credit cards. Okay, what they did is they got a hold of my credit cards. By the time I found out, they'd been to the Bellagio and the MGM and sucked all that money out. It actually, you hear these people talk about it, you're like, no, it won't happen to me. It just won't, because my credit cards are right here. Okay, what about all those other credit cards that I'm not using right now? That's what they got. So they weren't in my wallet. They were the ones that I wasn't using, and I didn't even know they were gone. Until I got this call, of course, from the fraud department. Too late. They actually had a license, driver's license that they forged. It wasn't my picture. It was some signature that had my name, but that was it. And that was in California. So that is the identity theft issue. You don't need to worry about it as long as you don't have a mailbox or a computer or credit cards. Now the healthcare. Next month we're going to do the healthcare. We're going to go line by line through the Nevada Healthcare Power of Attorney. And we're going to show what this paragraph means and how it's going to actually affect your family. Because let's face it, many of our clients or you haven't written very many of these before. And so it takes time to get better and better to understand what's really in here and how to work these. So that series is going to be actually taught by me, and we're going to go through those. And then property tax assessments. Now last but not least here is the continuous communication, the unlimited phone calls. And I have to train people how to deal with the trusted family attorney, because they have no idea. They're hesitant to pick up the phone. I'll actually chew them out. If there's a major life event and they don't call us, I'll say, what for? You have to care at least as much as we do. And we were here standing ready. Now, quite candidly, if you had an issue, for example, of whether or not the real estate had been properly transferred, that call doesn't need to come to me. That comes to our funding coordinator. If you want to know if the stocks and the bonds were properly transferred, that's something that can be handled with our legal assistant. All the calls don't need to come to me because, quite frankly, we have quite a few people on this kind of a program. And then, of course, the newsletters that are going to give you updates periodically on the types of things that may change or adversely affect your plan. Now, living trusts, death plan, life plan, what's included? If you say to me, Mr. Fales, the only thing that we need is to avoid probate, and we'll be satisfied with that, you need a death plan. The death plan will simply take care of that. If you say to me, well, this estate tax thing, we're not sure what's going to happen, we're not sure what our life insurance is going to end up doing, we want to avoid the estate taxes as well. That's also a death plan. Now, if you say we want to ensure that the distribution is right, I'll say, well, the death plan will attempt to get the distribution correct, but there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees for two reasons. Number one, of course, if there's a lawsuit or a bankruptcy or a divorce, okay, you wanted it to go to the kids, but it may not have gotten there. And quite candidly, the second reason why the distribution doesn't always get right, because attorneys do make mistakes. And we've seen this happen where they've come in and said, can you interpret this? Can you read this? We're not sure what this means. I said, I don't know what this means. And they said, well, surely this is legalese. I said, this is mumbo jumbo. I don't know what this is trying to say. You try to figure it out. So that's where the distribution comes in with these death plans. The life plan, if you say, I want to have creditor and predator protection for me, and if I'm married, for my spouse, that's what we call life plan A. If you say, in addition, I want to have my assets and my values passed on to my children in asset protection functions, that's the life plan B. And then if you say, I want to go down to the grandchildren, in some jurisdictions actually, see the 365? In some jurisdictions it can go beyond the grandkids to the great-grandkids. Nevada happens to be 365, other states are 1,000, some states are unlimited. Then you're looking at a life plan C. And oh, by the way, if you want the maintenance plan, then that is included with any of the life plans. So if we take a look at the cost, you can see that the death plan, whether or not it's going to be for a single person or a married person, is $1,500. And that's going to include with the items we just talked about. Now if you say, well, Mr. Fales, I want to go beyond that. I want to do not just probate and estate tax. I want to protect me for life. Then we're going to drop down to the life plan. Now, hold on. Can anybody see that the prices here are a little bit different than the prices here? Okay. Now the reason for that is the life plan does more. We've been simply talking almost this whole time about the life plan. It simply does more. So if you say, I want life plan A for the trustor protection, or you go to life B, or to life plan C. The maintenance plan, we work this out a different way. The maintenance program, as you can see, for a single person is $295, $395 for a married couple. The reason for that is there's simply two of you if you're married. Now, when we come in and we meet with clients, sometimes we know that they're overwhelmed, they're drinking from a fire hose, and we say, hey, here are the things in the maintenance program. Don't worry about it. We'll pay for the first 12 months to get you going to see how it works. Then at the end of the 12 months, you'll be getting our annual review, a bill, and a question. Okay? The question will...
Is that per month or
per year. Per year. So you'll get a question that says, would you like to continue after the first year of being on it after we have paid for it? Okay? Now the funding credit, I do not want this to be confusing, but it could be. So here's how it works. Let's say you already have a trust. Now if you have a trust and you say, that's not going to work for me, that's a problem, and you say to us, we want to have a life plan, what we're going to do is a full restatement amendment to it. So here's your plan, and we're going to drop on top of it a new amendment. It's a complete amendment of the entire thing. Why did we do that? Because there's a date associated with your original trust. And the assets should have, at least some of them, hopefully, should have already been transferred into that trust. So we don't want to have to re-register all those assets. So we do this restatement type of thing. The work's already been done. These prices up here, right here, include us re-registering all your assets, whatever they are. If you already have a trust, that work's already been done. So we give you a funding credit, which will reduce our life plan fees. Now you can say, okay, I don't have a trust. I'd like to get a life plan trust. How does that work? I say, well, we'll be your cheerleader, and we'll verify that you did it right. And if you go do all the legwork yourself, then you can also take that funding credit. When you leave tonight, you'll be getting a coupon that represents the $1,200 funding credit. Okay? So that's how that works. Now, are there any other questions up to this point? I got two here. Go ahead, sir.
On the data you have there, are those figures, for a year per, for policy?
This is to initiate the life plan program. Once you're in, if you want to maintain it after the first year, it's that per year. That's.
Say I got the, life plan A.
Yes.
$3,000, that got it. Then with the next year, another $3,000.
No, sir. Actually, if you take us up on the funding credit, it would turn out to be $1,800. And then after the first year, you'd get your letter from us, a bill, and a question. Do you want to move forward? If so, send us back the payment, and we'll continue with the maintenance program. Yes.
What about a pour-over will? Doesn't that cover the things that you might have put
yes.
in the trust, like that certificate she had for $100,000 that she didn't put in? Wouldn't the pour-over will take care of that?
Thank you for that question. What will happen is, yes, both a death plan and a life plan have to have a pour-over will. A pour-over will is a will that says, if there's anything that didn't make it into the trust, dump it into the trust. Okay? Yes, indeed. How do I remove that person's... if I have to sign that stock certificate over, and I'm dead, how do you get my signature with the will? With or without a will? How do I do that? Don't dig me up out of the grave, please. We have to go to probate. So yes, there's a will, but it's only a last resort. It's only a safety net. It will go through probate and dump it over to the trust. Why do I want it in the trust? Well, at least once it's in the trust, I have all the creditor protection. It gets down to my kids. They have it. If there's a divorce, they don't lose it. It gets down to the grandkids. So I do want it in there, avoid the estate tax, but it won't avoid probate. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a partner?
No, I do not.
Okay. What happens if you die and you're...
Good question. First of all, don't I look young enough for you? Okay?
No, you're talking about death.
Okay.
What happens if you die and all our...
First of all, I have an association with an arrangement with another attorney in town as a backup. And that is the solution. It's not a partner, but it is somebody who will be given access to the records and be able to notify you to see if you wanted to continue with him under my same terms. And he is somebody who I feel is competent and who someday we'll talk about partnerships, you and I, over lunch. Okay? And then you'll see why I don't have one. Because I just have a very strong opinion about them.
I work with justice.
Okay. Had a question down here.
What happens if I move out of state?
Okay. If you move out of state, a couple of things. Number one, the trust documents that you have and the will, they're all valid. I had a question over here about somebody from California moving in. They're valid. Okay? I'm not going to stand here and say, "Oh my goodness, you move, you have to change it." I'm not going to say that. When it comes to the maintenance program, that's where we have an issue. If I'm not licensed in that state, then I have an issue because day to day, although the documents you left with were good, on a day-to-day continuing basis, it's not something that I'm willing to take that liability on. And truthfully, I think that there's a legal argument that could be made that says, I can't, because I'm not licensed there. Okay, and the people who do not continue with our maintenance program, almost all of them are in that situation. They twist my arm trying to get me to do it under the table or whatever, and I say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that. If you move back, we can help you. But the documents are going to be valid in every state. Okay?
One more question.
Sure.
What if your children divorce before you die? Does the ex-spouse have any claim to the estate?
The question is, if your children divorce before you die, do they have any claim? The short answer, without knowing more facts, is no. Because they're not family members, although...
I thought so.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a question here.
Yes. What is the life of a durable power of attorney for health? I understand it has a life duration.
In California, they've been known to expire under state law. Not here. Mm-hmm.
Is that true for the financial...
Yes, but recall that if I have a financial power of attorney that's over 1 or 2 years old, I'm very nervous. The bank is going to come up with any reason to turn you away. And the easiest reason of all is, hey, you signed this thing 5 years ago. Okay, well, it's not you. Let's say it's somebody, your agent coming in to the bank. And they say, hey, I just don't feel confident that this is this man's current wish. You're telling me he's in the hospital, he's not here, this was signed 5 years ago, this just looks too old. Okay, so the financial powers of attorney should be kept very, very current. Yes, ma'am.
On power of attorneys, my attorney is keeping the original. Is that proper?
Power of attorney?
Uh-huh.
Well, here's what we do. I won't comment on that, but I'll tell you the system that I like. After we prepare all of the documents, we're going to scan in the originals. We're going to keep them for about a week. Scan them into our hard drive that has a backup hard drive. Give you the originals. Then if you die in a flood or a fire, I have a copy that can be admitted to court. So normally, no, we do not keep the financial powers of attorney. What do I want it for? It needs to be over in your estate.
He told me that he should keep it for my protection.
Perhaps a difference of opinion. Okay? A couple of more questions, and I want to let you know that I'm going to be staying afterwards to answer your individual questions, so we don't have to worry about that. I have one here that keeps going up. Yes, sir.
You answered the question on out-of-state trust. I've heard it said on talk shows that possibly you need to record that out-of-state trust in Nevada to make it valid. I don't know if that's true or not.
No, what's helping us here is the full faith and credit clause of the U.S. Constitution requiring sister states to honor the laws of other states. Normally we do not record our trusts. It's a private document. It's nobody's business.
Gotcha.
Okay? I'm going to take 2 more questions here and then in the back.
Are the fees, is a one-time fee?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what happens if you combine the death plan and the life plan? What are the fees?
Thank you for that question. The life plan includes everything in the death plan. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. I have one more slide to go through.
Okay, the question is, we're talking about our estate. So we have our home, we have stocks, bonds, investments, Cougar Ram. But we also came here tonight, we drove an automobile. Do we put the automobile in the trust, or do I keep it outside the trust so that if I get in an accident, I have insurance, there it is, I have $1 million, that's what you get, and you can't touch my trust?
Well, I'll add...
I keep my trust over here, but I take my automobiles and put it and leave it in my personal name.
Well, that strategy isn't going to work, and whether or not you want to put it in the trust shouldn't so much be a creditor protection issue as much as a probate issue. Okay? Are we going to have to probate the car? So the question is, based on your age, I'm going to tell you not to put the car in the trust. Why? Because you're going to end up driving that car and buying a new one. Okay? And if you want to spend your time, you'll die early actually, down at the DMV trying to re-register that car. Okay? Then be my guest. It's not worth it. Now, how much did I say in Nevada you can have? In your estate, $20,000. Let us fill that up with your car. Let the car be used. Okay, now if you have a really nice car.
I got 5 nice cars.
You have 5 cars?
I got a 58 Corvette.
Okay. Now that's different. That's an those are collectibles. You may want to consider transferring those over. Okay? Now, this right here, let me review with you how we actually go through and decide how to do a plan. When we start at the bottom here, right down here with the death plan, it's easy to determine whether or not you want a death plan. You go back to the beginning when I had those probate fees. Ask yourself, will my estate generate a fee that bothers me? Okay, and if it's going to bother you, if that probate fee is going to bother you, then you'll move up to the next step. You'll say, okay, here's the life plan. Do I want to have protection? You can move up here and say, okay, well, I want to go a step further, protect the children. Move a step up, protect the grandchildren. Now, the life plan includes anything below it. This plan, Life Plan A, includes a death plan. Life Plan B includes anything that's in here or in here. So that's the accumulation effect. It's all going to be wrapped up. Okay? So if you, a couple of things before I close. This piece of paper right here, if you fill this out, you'll be able to have a free consultation with me for coming here tonight. Now, there's 3 lovely ladies here in the back, and you will turn, if you want to come in, you will turn that into them. Raise your hand, turn around. Okay, there they are. And you will turn that in. Now, here's what will happen. Here's what this means. 3 things. Number 1, if you come in, we're going to take your existing trust, and we're going to say, if you have one, and we're going to say, here it is, we'll draw it out, we'll say, here's what you got. The second thing, based on what your desires are, we'll say, here's what you may want to be thinking about, here's what you may want to do. And number 3, here's the exact cost that it will take in order to move forward. So you're not coming in to actually move forward as much as it is, you're just simply pursuing it. That's what it means if you come in to see us. It does not mean you're committing to move forward. Okay? Now, if you decide to come in, unfortunately, I have a little homework for you. And what you'll do is fill this out. I hate to call it homework, but it requires a little effort on your part. You would fill it out. We need to get this back before you meet with us. You can put it in the self-addressed stamped envelope that we have provided. Now, don't be surprised if we schedule the appointment before we have this. We just simply need to get it back prior to. One other thing, and that is if you're married, we require that you come in with your spouse. Okay? Even if they don't care, we simply can't care more than you do, and so we need to have the spouse there in order to move forward. Having said that, one last question. Did you all learn something tonight? Yes. Okay, great.